Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault Gaming video. Xvault here, and today I want to go over something a little bit different, something that's a little more near and dear to me in regards to Overwatch 2, namely the state of Overwatch 2. Now, I know this isn't necessarily a solid video or anything like that, but if you do know my channel, you do follow my channel, you know I was big into streaming and playing Overwatch 2, especially every Friday with everybody there, with a lot of sessions offline as well. So what we need to do is break this down and truly go over the state of Overwatch 2. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I was saying, what we're going to do is go over the current state of Overwatch 2. Now, at the time of this recording, this is how it is today, right now. 2 months from now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, I don't know what Overwatch 2 will look like. We don't know if it'll still be around or if it's just going to be hanging around, kind of like how Paladins and such like that is. Who knows what's kind of going on with it, but I digress. Let's kind of break it down. I'm going to start off just by showing what it currently is looking like overall at the time I screen recorded this from, or screen capped this from Steam itself. So as you can state and see, mostly negative, 8,149 reviews. All reviews overwhelmingly negative at 251,221. That's pretty crazy considering this is a game talking about Overwatch 1. The 2 really needs to be here nor there when it's in context to that, because really this was meant to kind of revamp and add a lot more to, which we'll get to here. But overall, the 2 really doesn't mean anything, right? They switched from 6 players, 6v6, over to 5v5, 1 tank, all that stuff. You probably know how it goes from here. So really, this game was held in such high regard that it was Game of the Year when it came out. That's huge. This was a team game that's really similar, obviously, to Team Fortress 2, all that stuff. You have other kind of copycatish games that is like Paladins and such, like I mentioned before in the intro here. But let's continue here. We'll continue to go on. We have some headlines I want to share with you stating Overwatch 2's PvE content scrapped as devs are denied bonuses for the first time, report claims. Teams on Diablo and World of Warcraft received bonuses, but the Overwatch devs weren't so lucky. Kind of crazy. There's a lot of factors on why Overwatch 2 is in the state that it is in currently. Overwatch 2 heroes won't be locked behind a battle pass starting in Season 10. Previous heroes will also be free. So they're constantly trying to shift and change. That I understand, that I respect to a point. But it's just back and forth. Those that have started since Season 1 of Overwatch 2 up until currently, already 10 seasons coming up here before too long. Crazy how they're going back and forth. Good for other players, but those that have been supporting it, what are we getting out of it? We had access to this stuff early and so on and so forth, but let's continue here. What I want to pull up is an example of just one of the many users and players of Overwatch in the community stating, I deleted the game. Now, he goes on, and I'll leave this screen up here. I'm not going to read it verbatim because you don't need to hear me read this long of a piece verbatim. But overall, he's really upset. The synopsis of this is he's really upset at the fact that you're not getting anywhere. He, as a player, this is real similar to me in regards to where we were skill-wise. I myself was ultimately a diamond, gotten to masters at some point as well, even in Overwatch 2 in the very beginning, mind you, but also that way in Overwatch 1, where I felt like team play was a lot more crucial. This did turn into being a free-to-play game, so you're gonna throw these wrenches in there from time to time, but you just kind of hope that the dev team and just everything that's affecting the dev team and the development of the game and the online meta changes to kind of smooth itself out and fix. We give it time and time again. Like he said, my level of play was at Diamond to Master, but I'll no longer play just to play since my rank has dropped to Gold Platinum. And I am struggling in a lot of areas to even get out of gold, to try and climb out of gold. The communication's never been fantastic, but now it's just a point of complete toxicity if you do try to as nicely as you can, offer assistance or say, can I please just get a little bit more healing or whatever the case is. And in his case too, there are no supports. You lose in any case because the team doesn't know how to play. And that seems salty, right? Seems salty, but that's the truth of the matter. If you don't have a team that coordinates, if you're not lucky enough to, you're getting steamrolled or you're just losing out because we have too many TikTok Moiras out there that they implemented, hey, well, if you use damage balls and you use your siphon power, then you can, get your hand healing back. Well, the hand healing is not as beneficial as the orb healing, as you know if you do play Overwatch or you have played it quite often. That being said, not that DPS Moiras can't work, but it's few and far between. If one of your healers go down, it's probably more beneficial for you as a Moira to switch that tone of thinking and to sit there and actually heal your team and or tank, right? Kind of makes sense. But again, I've seen a lot of TikTok Moiras explode on the scene. We have another with Bambi Force here, stating if you were lucky, you get 2 out of 10, kind of even in a fun game nowadays. I don't know, but I think it was better just a few seasons ago, which I agree, right? I'll leave this up here for you to all to kind of look into. But as you continue through, it's all true here. Is it as bad and competitive? I bet it is not, since it would have been heard. It's pretty bad and competitive as well. I think since there's not matchmaking and quick play, that's also an issue as well. Is it because of the rank reset that's worse this season? Is it all the new fake Smurf fake accounts that are killing the matchmaker? Or is it because Blizzard don't give a shit about leisure players and only want comp players to have even games? Well, I can answer his questions on there. That's not the case. Is it a little better because of the matchmaking? Sometimes, but there's a lot of chances that you get steamrolled. You can look, and I'll put some of my clips up here as we're continuing to talk here, but as we go on, it just doesn't make sense. Of my skill level, and I'm not saying that I'm actually masters. I will not say that. I don't know. I feel like I definitely can be there if I'm really tight and I'm with a good team. Totally. I put 2,000 hours into this game. I feel like I've grown exponentially as a player, and I know you're going to have the naysayers out there that state, well, just because you think you're somewhere. Well, it's funny because it used to be that way. It's not because a bunch of new players came in and just swashed over me here and anybody else and has changed things that drastically. The fact is, so much has changed, and this can be alluded to so many things with the toxicity, with Kaplan leaving, the changing of the guard, the changing of the teams all the time, not being appropriately funded. They were supposed to change a lot in the PvE aspect. We won't even really hit the nail on the head there because that was where a lot of the resources went, and they pulled the plug. It sounded like it was going to be pretty dang amazing. We all know that. If you followed along, we all knew that. We got these PvE short burst segments that were boring as all get out. It was just as boring as the PvE free stuff that they would give with updates and events that we would, have those assaults and everything like that. So I was very disappointed. I spent money on those. Didn't even finish, even to this day, I won't even finish the last one because I really don't care. And now they came out, like you well know, that they're not going to focus even on PvE anymore. They're going to focus completely on competitive play, which I understand that's the meat of the game. Always thought it had been. But the PvE aspect, if done correctly, I thought would have been a cool idea. I would have thought with Microsoft backing this team, acquiring them, they would allocate funds and really bring this up from the grave and all its shortcomings to get that necessary support. That's not the case. They've had to lay people off. For better or worse, right or wrong, it's across the entire industry, so I'm not going to just nitpick on them alone. But the fact remains that, and there's going to be some transition period. And I really think that Microsoft could have done something. So I'm really disappointed there, but they really, if you look at the fact of the matter, they have not really bolstered any studio that they have come under their umbrella, in my opinion. Everybody seems to have faltered, and I was afraid of that, even with the acquisition. I was hoping, crossing my fingers, like, hey, maybe they'll get more funds, more allocations, because that's all they need. They had the talent there still. I truly believe that. Even after Kaplan left, I think there was enough talent. I thought they could have brought more in if they needed. But it just gets from bad to worse, folks. And it's unfortunate. Every game, as you can see, if you follow any of the streams, you can go back and watch any of my Overwatch live streams. and it's just not good. It's not good. I've tried solo queuing, so those that I team with, it's not just them, or perhaps we're just not cohesive enough. I think there was a lot of cohesive teammates that I played with. I helped learn, I helped them grow. I think they did fantastic overall, but the matchmaking is broken. If I go solo queue, if I duo queue with somebody that's exponentially really well, a fantastic player, we still have a lot of issues. And I don't expect to win every game, but I shouldn't be winning 2 out of 10 games. I shouldn't be winning 2 out of 14 games. It's been that bad. It's gotten to the point where I'm like, look, something is clearly wrong. From somebody that has over 2,000 hours into this game, something is clearly wrong. And I will fully admit if my skill just isn't somewhere, that's my problem. And I admit I'm not perfect in any match, nor is anybody, even Flats or CarQ or anybody. I do watch them. I watch Emong. I see what they do. I look at their tips. I look at their suggestive metas on the ranking every season. I try to take their advice, even though they say, you know what, it's our opinion. Don't take this as gospel. But here's our meta breakdown and stuff like that. And it does help. And they're right. It's not 100% going to be accurate all the time, but it is what it is. But if everybody's kind of seeing that and everything, and I know they're getting a better churn of rates from what I see, you know, maybe it's their ranking where they're at. They're going to get a lot better, you know, feedback and better player counts and how that works. But I'll tell you what, it just doesn't make sense. We got players in their roles that don't want to play their roles, and I think that also attributes to it being a free-to-play game. I understand that's what they had to do in order to keep this game going. I truly do, but at the same time, it's kind of an Achilles heel. You got a lot of casuals that somehow kind of climbed up there casually, whatever the case is, and good for them, but the fact that most of them have been toxic, they don't want to learn the role, they don't want to do it, is costing match after match after match, and is such a detriment to the players that have stuck around since Overwatch 1, that have stuck around since 2016, and here we are in 2024 at this point in time. It's absolutely mind-boggling, baffling, you name it. What do you do? You know, what do you do to turn this around? How long before all the players eventually just turn away and leave this game to die? Because that's essentially what they'll do. I don't know at this point in time what the player count is consistently on Paladins. Feel free to comment down below how that would or could look like. I've dabbled into it, and it just feels janky all the time. The detection and all that. I'm not going to be on a Paladins bash video because, you know what, it's always been free to play, and they at least implement stuff there, and I see some potential there, but it's just not as smooth as Overwatch is or ever has been. But that's the cost of what a AAA game is. When you had it, you know, you had to pay to play, you paid for the game, you played the game, and you saw the benefits of that and how smooth it is. And you see a night and day difference between a game like Paladins to Overwatch, right? And that's just what we're looking at now. That being said, I don't need this to be like a whine and moan session, but it is the current state. It's still overwhelmingly negative. I don't know what the future of it looks like. For the time being, I don't see myself going back to Overwatch 2. I don't see myself streaming Overwatch 2 anytime soon. I don't see any kind of support. I can't speak positively about Overwatch 2, and I want to. I've stuck up for it for so long. But here we are. It's a state of chaos. It's a state of what are we doing? Quick play's a headache in itself because it's not skill-based matchmaking at all. You're going to get rickrolled. You're going to do the rickrolling. It's all over the place. So it's hard to learn and grow from there. But it's something, but it's just super inconsistent. But then again, we're going over to the competitive side, and it's loss. And you can tell what's going on and why you're losing. And again, a lot of it is due to teammates, broken matchmaking, broken metas. You got, broken players and characters in the game that will totally throw a wrench into you trying to carry the team, right? They have a good enough 1 to 2 players on their team or so that has that character that can just totally, and again, it's just every role's so crucial. I can say, oh, it's just because the heals aren't there. That's a point. You can have somebody playing tank and they don't know how to play the tank. They don't know how to attack, when to pull back, how to play corners. And that's everybody not knowing how to play corners. There's a lot to it. That's DPS going out, DPS flanking when they shouldn't be flanking as a DPS. You got DPS that's flanking at the wrong times, that are not getting the kills and they're dying and they're sitting there at 4 kills and 12 deaths. I mean, that's not going to help anybody but feed their ults. That's not going to help anybody on the team. You name it. It's absolutely crazy. So I don't know when and how they'll fix this game, if it all ever. And I just don't feel confident that at this point in time that Xbox is even doing anything. I really wish they would, when I say Xbox, I mean Xbox, Microsoft, that division, but I just don't see any of their companies truly flourishing when it comes to getting that support and being a fantastic game. And I really wish. I'm like, well, it wasn't flourishing under Bobby Kotick, so maybe Microsoft could do something. I can give them a little bit more time. I know things don't change overnight. So we'll see if we can get some sort of proper support for this dev team for Overwatch, and Microsoft can get their money in the right way and fund the studios and dev teams that truly deserve that. And I think as a games as a service game, which is Overwatch 2 completely, now that it's free to play, I think you need to really sit there and invest into such a special IP that can really turn things around. But until that happens, I'm not going back. I don't know how many others, as we've shown here, can go back to it. I don't know if it'll be too little too late by the time it does try to turn around. Perhaps only time will tell. And who knows if they'll get to it before it's too late. And that is the state of Overwatch 2 right now. So let's hope something changes. It's one of my favorite multiplayer games in a long time, and I stuck with it for so long. So on a positive note, I do have tons of great memories with Overwatch 1 and even Overwatch 2 at some points. But let's hope for the best on what happens, just for the dev's sake and those that put their blood, sweat, and tears into this game. But for the time being, it's in a mostly overwhelmingly negative spotlight. And I just wanted to share that state and kind of explain also why I'm shifting directions on the streaming aspect, because I just can't do it anymore. It puts you in a foul mood as a gamer and a human being with how it is right now. And I don't think that's good for the gaming community either. So that being said, please let me know if you have any thoughts or opinions about Overwatch 1, 2, the current state of it, all that good stuff. Would love to hear from you. I know it's a little different. Video might be a little bit long, but I did want to state a lot of facts there in my experience with the game. So thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, of course. And if you haven't already, be sure to like, comment. That helps out the algorithm so much. If you haven't already, definitely subscribe, helping out a small content creator like myself. We are so close to another goal. We're hitting at the 2,000 goal at this time recording, 1,539. Yes, 1,539 subs. You guys are fantastic. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, like I said, and we'll see you next time on the next Xvault Gaming video. And until then, take care.